Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. I can't believe it's what day is it today? 2 March. I don't I don't even know sometimes. Um I just I wanted to bring this special girl on today. We have never met in person, and that's usually how these go, but it's amazing the connection that you get immediately when you start conversing on social media, and you're just like, I just want to hug you, and will you be my friend? And so that's how I feel with Erin. That's going to be here in a minute. Her story is beyond words. I can't even read to you her bio because I want her to tell the life that she has lived and is currently living. But you would never guess that she has been through what she's been through. And I think that the reason why I bring that up is because we need to be cognizant of what we say about people, or how we judge people, or how we portray people. You think we're so strong, and yes, we're strong, but you don't understand what we've gone through in our life. And this is how I can't even talk. This is how we become the person that we are now. So I will bring her on here, but first, let me do my thing. So, are we ready? Are we ready? Ooh, we have 6 viewers. I think we're ready. And we're ready. Aaron.
Yay! That was a really cool thing that you did there.
Thanks. I'm kind of proud of that. I didn't make it myself. So, but someone else did. Actually, a college kid, one of my friends' sons made that. And so I love it. But
You saw the
okay.
post that you kind of introduced the person who did it, I believe, right? You put that on
Oh,
your post.
I did. I
Yay, I
did.
saw that.
I try to give him street cred because I mean he's 23, graphic designer, and I love promoting young entrepreneurs like that. And yeah, just it's amazing. So, but yes. So tell us where you're at right now. Not I mean like not at your friends, but what state?
I am in North Carolina.
I see it's sunny. How's the weather?
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Yesterday it was 80, and I'm pretty sure we're close to that same temperature right now. So
That's
it's
awesome.
beautiful.
That's so oh my god, I'm jealous. Does it like that right now? It's kind of funky. Texas is like 23 degrees and then it'll be 80 the next day. I'm like, can you what are you
Have
drinking?
you heard of North Carolina? 4 seasons in one day? Come on. I don't want to hear about Texas.
I know. All right, I'll stop complaining because I don't like being hot, but I don't like being cold. So whatever. I can't. I'm a mess. Um so okay. You have a story that you haven't really shared. Some of it you put on social media, but you haven't this is your first time being on this kind of platform.
Yes. Absolutely. You'll see like my like frustrated posts where I like post random things, and I'll share a little bit here and there when it's due for good measure of something that's important to me. But this is my first time talking about my story. Yes.
Well, I am sincerely proud of you because it's not easy. I know. When I first started talking, I was like, I don't know what to share. I don't know how to share it. This is scary and all the things. So I know it takes a lot of courage and strength to do this, but you're in a place where you can. And I think that's what's amazing is that you are in a place where you can. So
Yeah,
kind of,
definitely.
kind of.
Kind of, yeah, I think that you're never really ready, but there are so many parts of you that want to tell it because you know that you went through those things so that you can help other people. And my biggest thing has always been, how do I help people? How do I get started? And when I started asking myself that, I knew I was ready to kind of talk about it more.
Yeah.
So,
So we'll start with growing up. So you have already experienced drugs and alcohol as a young child. When did that start?
pretty much right in high school, I met the wrong people, and I kind of dove into covering up a lot of feelings I didn't really understand because when I was 16, my parents started going through their divorce. So that coping mechanism was introduced to me at 16, basically 15 and 16. And I dove
Ha-
in without hesitation and didn't stop.
So what kind of What kind of drugs did you experiment with? What was accessible to you at that age?
Um, a lot of the stuff in my high school was like, Adderall and mostly alcohol. It wasn't until I was 18 that I started kind of doing pretty much anything that was in front of me or that somebody else was doing. But it was just a lot of alcohol, marijuana. And then the biggest thing in high school was definitely Adderall.
Wow. I
So,
remember when I was 16, I experimented with, well, I experienced all the bad things with alcohol, and I didn't realize what you don't mix with what. I just drank everything that was in there, but we had Mad Dog back then.
oh
So
my gosh. And Cisco, they have a meme, that meme that's going around that's like, unless you woke up in a cornfield, I don't want to hear your story. Because, like, wow, the things that we did. We woke up in cornfields.
how did we get here? And oh
I
my
don't
God, yeah,
know, but it must have been
yeah.
fun.
I, oh my gosh, crazy. So how long did you go through that?
For a long time because, I don't know, like between high school and then kind of trying to figure out who you are, once I turned 18 and I was let loose to the world, I that was a whole different ball game for me. I basically was waitressing at strip clubs from the time I was 18 until I was in such a bad place that I ended up jumping on a cruise selling magazines across the United States. So that was interesting.
Are you are you the only child?
No, I have uh, two half brothers, a sister, another half sister. I have a huge family, so definitely not the only child.
Were you close with them at all?
Yeah, my two brothers and my sister that were from another mom, same dad. They we were kind of close young, but growing up not so much. But my sister and my brother that were in the house, yeah, we were always really close.
Did anybody ever try to stop you? Did ever anybody ever tell you you are on this crazy path? What are you doing? Too much
Yes.
drinking, really? And
Yes.
so how did you react to that?
It went even harder. I mean, there was the more you tried to stop me from what Erin wanted to do, the more I would dive into it. Like I had to figure stuff out for myself.
Yeah.
Super stubborn.
It's funny. Why do we do that? It's like you can't tell me no because I'm gonna go do it.
Right. So rebellious. And my aunt even had a nickname for me. It was Little Miss I'm Gonna Listen.
Are you a Leo?
I'm a Capricorn, actually.
I'm a Leo, and I was told that we're stubborn, and I'm Hispanic, so not a good combo, but
I don't think
So
any of them are easygoing. We're all stubborn in our own way.
you okay, so you ended up meeting somebody and
Yeah.
stayed with him and found out you were pregnant. What was going on there?
So while I was on this magazine crew, I met this delicious man. He was like the man of my dreams. And so the big thing in the magazine crew was once you met somebody, you're not allowed to date on magazine crew because our job was to knock on these doors and sell these magazines. You could not have a distraction. So we saved up a bunch of money and we hopped on a Greyhound bus and went to his hometown in Texas. He lived in Port Arthur, Texas. So I lived down there for a year and a half. And then that hurricane hit. It was Hurricane Rita. And
Mm.
we didn't have electricity for like a month. And a month later, I found out I was pregnant. So yay for hurricanes.
Gosh. You ended up wanting to leave.
Yes, he was raised. He kind of had a family. His mom was in prison when I first moved down there, and drugs were kind of a rampant part of his family. Matter of fact, almost every family member of him has overdosed and passed since he passed away. So, yeah, I wanted to leave because he had struggled with pill addiction, and when I had Cameron, at that time, I was just kind of trying to better my life and not stay in that toxicity. So I did leave for a little while. I tried to get out.
And then you
Um, Yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
court system in Ohio, I had to go basically try to win custody in Texas because it was a jurisdiction thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back down there and kind of tried to play nice and tried to make it work, per se, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But that obviously ended short. I was at work and I got a phone call that he had passed away. He basically took pills and drank on it and then fell asleep and drowned. So
Oh my
that was the
gosh.
biggest tragedy experienced in my life at that point.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And how old are you at this time?
I was 21.
That's a
And
lot.
it was, yeah, it was a month after Cameron's first birthday. So she didn't really, she didn't really
Mm.
know how to feel that going on, but it was tough. It was definitely
Yeah.
tough.
How did you, how were you able to move on from that and end up raising Cameron? I mean, that's not, I mean, at 21 years old, that's so young still.
If it weren't for the family that I had, there's no way. I mean, basically once he died, even though things weren't working well, I still lost something that was very important, I felt, because we weren't like necessarily together when that happened. I still loved him. I mean, we had a lot of history together, but I fell flat on my face harder than I could have ever imagined once he passed away. My my biggest thing was I constantly wanted to find somebody that was him. And so I dove into promiscuity, and alcohol was even worse. And the harder the drugs were, the better. And I basically neglected Cameron, the better part, my daughter. I neglected her the better part of that first couple years because of what what I was trying to cope with and cover up. So my sister helped me tremendously. If it weren't for her, she lived with me after a while. I stayed in a homeless shelter for a few months and got on my feet. And then once I moved into the apartment, she moved in with me and she took care of Cam a lot. So that was a big help.
Hmm. So, how did you end up clean? How did you stop drinking?
Well, oddly enough, this man came into my life, and I made a lot of really bad decisions before getting married, and it was kind of like a stipulation: either you're sober and you do these things, or I'm not going to stay married to you. So that started my sober journey.
And I'm sure your sober journey was not easy.
No, it was confusing. When you go from being that long into using so many different things to cover up your feelings. Essentially, a lady that I was really close to, she said, basically, you're going back to the age that you started using. So mentally, I felt like I was starting over,
Yeah.
which was weird, but a good thing at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I've had it's I was actually surprised how many people I know that are recovering alcoholics because I never knew. I hung out with them every day. We worked together. We did triathlons and we rode bikes and I never knew that during those moments he was always drunk.
Wow, it's
Oh,
easy. It's like it's really easy to be a functioning alcoholic, especially if you have a tolerance. Like you would never know. I mean, there are some people that I would have never known until they were almost dead, but it's a you gotta be careful and control it. It's hard. It's tough for
yeah.
sure.
No, absolutely. So what happened next? You got married, you started to you stopped drinking or you were going in through the process of that. What transpired after that? How did that go?
Well, so kind of a little backstory with regards to before I got married. Because of the alcohol abuse and the drug abuse, when this man came into my life that, told me he would sweep me off my feet, I didn't believe that. And I thought it was just any other thing that I was going through with that part of my life. And so we kind of hung out for like a week, and then he went back overseas. And that 6 months that he was back overseas, I was living the same life that Erin always lived. I was, hanging out with my guy friends, making out, drinking all the time. I didn't have a care in my body about what I was doing. I cared about this man that I knew of him. But when he came home and he still married me, I didn't realize the control aspect of it, being married and going through the things I went through, because I blamed myself for those choices that I had made before we got married. So back to that question, you're going to have to ask it again because I go backstory and I forget.
No, it's okay. How long were you married to this man?
For 8 years.
8 years.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that go? Because you had to give up certain things to marry him. And then you were, when he was gone, you were acting a certain way. So he comes back, you guys get married, and then it's like you have to
It,
completely change.
being sober was the easiest part of being married to him. Like, I almost felt like that was like he saved me because of that. I was sober for 4 years, and alcohol had always been my nemesis. So that was, honestly, that was great for me. The hard part was the blame that I felt. And so I felt like all of these things I was going through for a long time were normal, because all the awful things Erin had done, that's why you are going through it. Like, for instance, I would come home, he would buy me a gift certificate to go get my nails done, call me while I was doing it and accuse me of doing something else. And then when I would get home, he would put his finger on my throat and he would ask me questions to check my pulse to see if I was lying. It was like a tactic to see if my pulse raised, if I was a liar or not. So that's kind of what started, where I was like, whoa, like,
So you went
okay,
through,
but I deserve it because of
yeah.
what I did. So
So you went through that for 8 years,
yes.
and you were like, this is not normal. I need to leave.
The crazy part is that I knew that there were things that weren't normal, but I would never question it because of what I had done. So I would just stay quiet. I would catch him in lies, and I would never ask because I knew what would happen if I asked, the arguments and the anger and stuff like that. But it took me almost, would you believe, 5 years before I started documenting, realizing how abnormal the situation actually was. And I mean, I had the things that I had witnessed, between how many animals were buried in my backyard to, um, I even stayed after the domestic violence part, where he held a gun to his head and threatened me first, or him. So it took me 5 years and a year of writing things down and documenting to process just how bad it really was.
So can you tell those that are listening and watching how there are probably people out there who are asking, why didn't you leave sooner? Why did you put up with this? There's no way in hell I would have let that happen to me. Tell them how that was not, it's not as easy as you might think, that it took
No,
you 5 years to actually start doing it. So can you just talk about that for a minute? Because I know there's people out there that are thinking that.
yeah, absolutely. I think everyone thinks in their head, oh gosh, if I was going through something like that, it would be so easy. But when you don't know any different, all of your relationships have been bad, and you've got these children, you're able to stay home with them. You have this lifestyle that you've never had, that you could only dream of. I used to tell myself that I could endure the narcissistic and mental abuse that we would go through, because I lived a stable life with regards to being able to take care of myself and my children. So I think a lot of fear is in your head of, where will you go? How will you do this on your own? Um, it took me being at my lowest low of being terrified. Like, I was going to die if I stayed. That's what I thought. And I told myself I had to go. it's the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So it's kind of hard to explain it.
No, I can understand only because I've seen other people go through it, and to hear their story of it makes it just opens up your eyes. Like right
Oh
now,
yeah.
I'm
I
at
mean,
one.
and when you've sat in different instances and like you've heard somebody say, if you ever leave, this is what I'll do, or if you ever cheated, this is how I would get rid of your body. Like he used to say things like that to me. So when you feel like you would always be looking over your shoulder, sometimes it's easier to stay and just endure that abuse and pain instead of try to move on and look over your shoulder for the rest of your life, which I still feel like I'm going to do for a long time. So
Yeah,
it's just part of it all becomes part of who you are, though, I think, in the long run. So
I think so. I can kind It just makes me think of when I was 16, 17, 18. Because of my trauma that I went through when I was 10, I think it just carried over. So I dated guys who were like that would grab my arm and that would force me to do things or want me to do things. And then if I didn't do them, they threatened to leave me. So, and so you stay because you don't want, you're like, well, this is the only kind of guy I'm going to get. And he loves me or he likes
yeah,
me. And so all these things go in your head. So you stay. Right.
yeah,
But
you
other,
start to feel like this is what you deserve. This is
yeah.
this is all you're ever gonna have in your life. So you might as well just stay, right?
Yeah. Cause you'll never get anybody else.
That's how
That's
I
what we think.
felt. I mean, I just started talking myself out of the fact that like I still sometimes I'm like, I'm never gonna have what I deserve, blah, blah, blah. Obviously I do now, but
But yeah. but um but people don't, unless they're in that situation, they won't understand, and you'll get the people who are like, I can't believe you stayed. Well, you don't really get it, so just sympathize with me, hear me out, be there for me, let me be. And I think that's what we need, right? We need to just be heard.
yeah, I mean, we already know that we're silly for staying. We already know that we stayed too long, but
Right.
I feel like you have to go through that worst of the worst to have that perfect moment. It's almost like God opened that door at that exact time because had COVID not been something that happened, oh my gosh, I have no idea. I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years.
Yeah.
I tried to get a job immediately, and all I could get was the restaurant business job. And granted, that took care of my family, but when COVID hit, whew, girl, I was sweating. Like that was scary. Hey, you
And
want to leave and fix your life now? COVID.
right. Oh my gosh, that was a scary time for so many people, and I think it really just tested us
Oh my
mentally,
gosh,
emotionally, just a hot mess of things.
all of it was terrifying.
When so you were married for, you said 5 years, right?
8
7 years.
years.
8 years, sorry.
Mhm.
When was that moment where you said, I need to literally physically leave this house?
So I kind of sat one day and I was obviously the whole like gun incident happened, and he started trying to convince everyone and the children that I was the one that held the gun to my head and I was the one that was crazy. And I had my brother come and visit from Ohio, and I went to the store, and he kind of sat everyone down and started, talking to them about divorce. And when I got home, he sat me outside and he told me that he talked to an attorney and that if I didn't agree to never go to my mother's house again, that he was going to take everything from me and sue me for bed and board because there were different things in the marriage that happened between him having an affair, and I went and kissed a man a couple years after that. And so no matter what had happened in our marriage, everything I did was always what we focused on. So we were sitting outside, and it was a week after the gun incident, and here I am having to agree to never go to Ohio and see my mother again. And I was like, that's it. But like that was it for me. Like that's my clicking point, really, Erin. No, that was it where I realized I would never ever have a normal life. I would always be controlled. My friends, my family, all of it would be picked. And so I lined up a victims advocate. A friend of mine did actually. She saved my life. She found a victims advocate, told me to come over to her house, and I never looked back.
Thank God
Mhm.
for that.
Yes, she literally saved my life. She had a panic button in her house for like all of it was just it's exactly what I needed when I needed it to go. So I packed a bag and I left, and that was it. Took the girls and we stayed for a week, and then the separation process started.
So I'm
Yay.
sure he tried to find you, right? They tried to contact you at all to
Oh,
tell you to come
absolutely.
back?
Well, the military had no contact for a little bit, so I felt like I could breathe then. And it's funny because even when I left, he was like, I'll get help. And he
Mhm.
tried to get help. And we actually tried to make it work for a couple months after
Mhm.
that, hoping that there would be some significant change,
Mhm.
which there was not. This is when the wild ride really started.
Oh my gosh, because you haven't endured enough before that.
Oh, no, no, no. We just thought we'd throw a little more into the mix,
Just keep
please.
adding up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that changes a lot. He was military, which, oh God, yeah. So did his command step in? What happened after that?
They actually tried to hide it. They tried to
Mm.
like, hey, no, don't do that, don't say that, don't text her, don't mention any of that. Like that's when the twists and the flip flops started coming in. I mean, the whole military thing. It was just to me, it became I was done at that point. They tried to cover it up, and we went no contact for like 3 or 4 days, and then we started to try to co-parent on our own. But he was, kind of getting out at that point, so they weren't involved very long after that anyway.
Okay. I'm trying to not. Sometimes you have to be careful, right, when the military's involved. So I always try
Yeah,
to.
I love our military. I just think that sometimes they overlook things that could have maybe saved somebody's life at one point or another. And you wonder how many people have endured different things like that. So they try to stick up for each other, I think, and that's okay, but not in this
Mm,
instance.
yeah. I'm just glad that you actually had somebody who was able to get you out of that situation because not a lot of people get that, or
Yeah,
it's too late.
I'm really thankful. I probably because I had a lot of friends kind of save me in the midst of like having bruises all over my body and going to their house for a week, and then I would go back every single time I would go back. So she helped me more than she will ever know.
And so now you have three children, two children.
3.
You have
Mhm.
three, and they're, I forgot, two daughters, three daughters,
I have all 3 girls.
all three girls. Okay.
Ah,
And what are their ages?
6, 8, and 15.
Oh my gosh, you don't look like you have all them and a 15-year-old.
Have you seen the gray hair? Hello. I
I
definitely
think
look
it's
like I have a 15-year-old.
I think it's beautiful. So I mean
Thank you.
I know as a mom, because I have a 21-year-old who was not in the best of relationships, and it was very difficult for her to see that. And when your parents step in, of course, they don't know anything. I love him, he loves me, and all that. And it wasn't until years later where she finally told me what was going on. And a part of me just broke because it's like, how come I didn't see that? So I'm sure now, as a mom to three girls, you are going to be like all up in their business. How what do you
Oh, I am.
how do you have
Helicopter
these
mom.
Oh yeah, I'm such a helicopter parent. How do you have these conversations with your daughters about relationships, and does your 15-year-old know of any of your past?
She knows everything about me. I'm a very open and candid person, and I think that a lot of what's going to help them through their life is my experience, my choices. So I have this tendency of thinking if I pour my soul out, that they won't make those horrible decisions on the people that they choose like I did. My 15-year-old, actually, she'll be 16 in June. She's never even been in a relationship because of my choices. So she's like, I don't want a boyfriend. Nope, I'm good. I just want to live my life. I'm so sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
I think it's important to have that, even though it's hard, because I know when I was growing up, I was always told, just we'll tell you when you get older. And so I never really knew all these things because I was waiting till I was older for them to tell me. But then when I got older, it was like, well, it's not a big deal. You don't need to know. So, and then I find out when I'm in my 30s, 40s, I'm like, if you would have told me that before. Um, and even now there's some things when my daughter read my book, she was like, Mom, I didn't know. And so there was some things she knew and a lot of things that she didn't. And I guess I was just trying to maybe more protect myself,
Yeah.
or maybe I just didn't want to think about it. So I think it's amazing that you are able to have that open conversation with your daughter at 15, because I hid a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people might not agree with that, but I think that the more honest you are about the things that you go through and the things you experience, the choices you've made. I talk to her all the time about drugs. Obviously, that's important because that's how her dad died. I have a history of it genetically. She's predisposed. So
Right.
that conversation is incredibly important for me with her. And then as far as, how to notice different red flags in a relationship when it's just not healthy, that's important because I don't know what I would ever do as a parent if she went through what I went through. My mom, my poor mom, oh my gosh, the sleep lost over what I went through is I can just imagine what I would go through if Cameron made the same choices. So it's important for me to voice.
I think we need that though. I know we need that because there are
Yeah.
girls as young as 12 having kids.
Yep.
So it's like, so are we going to continue to, oh, no, 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 I can't talk to my kids about this? Or are we just going to say, oh, we kind of need it because this shit's not stopping? I mean, you
Yeah.
know, unfortunately, there's just some areas in the world where kids get drugs at 8 years old. So when are we as a community going to just have the conversation? You have to.
Blunt and
It's
be
happening.
courageous and have it. This is why like more schools and stuff need speakers like that with that experience to where they can go in and talk about what they went through. Do you want to live with cockroaches? I used to walk downstairs in the house I was living in, cockroaches would scatter. Like all you ate was ramen noodles. Like do you want to live like that? You want to do drugs and live like that? Cool. I mean, trust nobody wants to live that way. So
Right. Oh my God. So you are here today and you are able to speak your truth. You are able to share this with your daughters and the rest of the world that's watching right now. Um, how do you wake up each day and what do you tell yourself? How do you continue to show up?
um well, I mean, after everything, especially everything that I went through when I left him, that whole part of it, I feel like there's no weak bone in my body at this point. Showing up is easy, getting up
Mm,
is easy. It's trying to figure out how to live a peaceful life, honestly, that's a little bit more difficult for me because after all that chaos, this last like 6 months of my life has been the most peaceful. And I honestly don't know how to live a peaceful life. That's strange for me.
mm.
So this is honest, it's easy. Getting up and showing up, it's all easy at this point.
I love that you say that. There's a lot of people out there who are going through so much, or they just can't get past their past. They can't get past what they've been through, and so it completely paralyzes them to continue to go forward.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think that everyone has their worst. And, my worst was losing them, going through, because when I left, it was 4 DSS cases where they were in our lives constantly. I mean, I was accused of everything from being a prostitute to a coke addict. I did hair follicle tests. I passed 6-month hair follicles and all those tests. Um, I was accused of not feeding them, not bathing them, beating them, putting cigarettes out on them because they had mosquito bites. And then the last one, they actually got taken from me for almost 2 months. I was accused of sexually abusing my own children. Me and my oldest daughter were both accused of it. So when you think that's my worst, losing my kids was my worst. When you think about that, like me having them, I'm grateful for every moment now. Like all those things that you go through make what matters today even more beautiful. So for me, that's the biggest thing. Not having to go through that crap.
oh my God, I can't imagine having to. Oh my God.
Imagine that, like I lost them, and then 3 days later, I got a knock at my door, and I can laugh now, but there was a cop at my door, and I get arrested, and I was like, "What? Why am I being arrested right now?" He says, 6 months ago, your ex-husband wrote an affidavit about you speaking negatively about him in front of the children, and so I have to take you to jail. It was criminal.
It
So I went to
was?
jail. Yeah. In North Carolina, you can say anything about anybody on a piece of paper and swear by it, and that person will go to jail until they prove themselves innocent, basically.
How
So
did
I learned how to heat up bologna with hot water, like the little water things. Yeah, so that was fun.
how long did you go to jail for? Was it just an overnight thing?
No, I was there for 3 days.
How did you get out?
Um, the attorney I had had at the time pushed some motions and finally got me out, so that I could go to the courts and like prove my case. But yeah, I was there for 3 days.
Oh my God, I can't imagine. So where does it stand now? Does he get to see the kids? How is that relationship?
Oh my gosh. So the relationship now, basically once DSS was dismissed out of our lives, the judge kind of threatened a couple things, and I think he kind of scared him because as soon as we left there, I basically had all the abilities to choose what was going on at that point, and the court would continue to custody later on. Well, immediately he wants to talk to me outside, so I go outside and we have this conversation, and I wouldn't like at first I was just like, nah, don't want to do this. But it took a couple months of kind of buttering me up to make me think, his kindness was a thing that was going to last. And I signed a paper sharing custody completely 50-50 with him. And it's been peaceful for the most part, but I regret kind of giving up that easily. Wanting it, it's like wanting that piece so badly within me that I was willing to do that to have it. So um, that's the
And
sucky
I can understand that. I mean, you just want things to work out. You don't want to go through any more than you already
No,
have.
I just wanted to co-parent, and when he begged me, like, let's just do this. That's what I've been trying to do all along. So, that's it. That's neither here nor there. At that point, I just wanted the girls to have what was fair, not necessarily. I never thought about what I wanted in that. I was thinking about what I thought they deserved. They deserve their dad, regardless sometimes of how hard that can be for me. They deserve their dad and they deserve their mom, and that was in my opinion the most important thing. So
No, I mean, and you're right. That are you able to ever go back and get sole custody if you wanted to? I don't know how that works there.
I probably could.
Mhm.
I mean, he's, after all the stuff with the allegations that went through, they ended up putting him on an RIL list. And it's, the mental abuse has been proven. Everything's in the court systems. I think that I could, but when it comes down to the ability to do so, and I think the fight that's in me, I know I have it, but I'm almost scared I'll mess that up again. Like the way that it is now. I don't want to bring the kids through any more turmoil after all that. That was tough.
Yeah, I can't
That was the
imagine.
fight of my life. So I just want peace.
Just want peace.
I just want peace.
And you deserve to have that. I mean, there's only so much, a person can go through. And so now how are you today?
I'm good. I'm happy. Like I've taken a long time to figure out who I am, what I want in my life. And then, of course, this beautiful man pops along and sweeps me off my feet. So I'm a happy girl. I feel like I have everything kind of in a good routine and happy way that I've always deserved. So I'm good today.
Good.
Should I throw up another heart?
I know, right? Are
I'm
you
good.
watching?
I'm
Um,
free. Gosh, I mean, I think the biggest, like all the control, everybody's probably seeing me and going, holy cow, like I was this controlled, quiet, ray of sunshine. But then, like, all of a sudden, I'm in a contest half naked on Facebook and people are seeing me on a podcast, like, whoa, Erin, slow down.
but you can choose whatever you want. And if this was what makes you happy, then, you're allowed to have that now. I think you've been through enough shit in your life to where nothing can stop you. And so that's what I love about you sharing your story, is to show other people, that you can get through it and you're here. And if you want to be on the cover of a magazine, then be a cover, be on the cover,
Yeah.
or continue to help other people with your story. So what do you foresee in the next, I don't know, a few years? What do you want to do next?
I want to speak. I want to help people because I think the biggest part about that help comes from people need to hear how not easy it is. They need to hear all the crap that you dredge through. They need to be prepared how to fight, how to line up that way of going.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, if I would have known, I almost feel like if I would have known what I would have went through after leave, like I probably wouldn't have left. But they need to know there's a light. They need to see that there is a happy life. That's not normal. That's not a way to live. Being controlled, being told what to wear, how to dress. If you wear mascara, you a Jezebel from the Bible. Like the things that you get told, no. Wear your mascara, wear your shorts. You don't need to be like everybody in church. You need to smile, be happy, hug who you want. That's not wrong.
Yeah.
You need to know that there is a beautiful life worth living. And it's taken me almost 2 years and I still have my days where poor boyfriend, he, has to scoot me off the floor because I don't know how to be happy or normal sometimes. Like I fall all the time, but that battle is so worth it. The happiness is so worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it is important to tell people, that you are still allowed to have your days. you know you're allowed to have those moments. You're allowed to just be you, and you're also allowed to be happy. So, and I think that's such a great thing. Like, you have shown so much strength just by continuing to live each day and be there for your kids. That's not easy, and there's a lot of females out there who don't know how to do that. So, um thank you for being you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
letting
for
me be me.
thank you for being there for our beautiful friend who we adore and love. And so, I know that's just made us all so happy. And I'm just, God, I'm just so grateful that you're still here. So I think that's one of the most important things. Not a lot of people make it out because they don't know how to make it out. So I
It's
can't
hard.
wait to. I know. Yeah. No. Absolutely. I can't wait to see you continue to speak. Or I know we're gonna make that happen. And so, yeah, just keep going, keep shining, keep smiling, keep getting up off the floor, and show the world what you're capable of. So, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you for having me, and I definitely won't stop. It's the unstoppable Erin now. Bring it on.
I love it. I love it. It's on now, people. Get ready.
Yeah, here she comes.
Thank you to everyone who has been watching. There's been quite a few of you. And for those that I'll put the comments up again because you have some fans. So
Hi.
thank you. Let's
Yay.
see.
Yeah, and
Tim.
it's funny, a lot of the people that are commenting have a significant part of my life. Like John Mark, he was friends with Chad, which is Cameron's dad who passed away. And like
Oh,
Sarah, she used to help me take care of Cameron. Like these people have been there at my worst and watched me grow, and they were a part of my growth. So that's really cool to see. Thank you guys.
yeah, no, that's so beautiful to have such a great support system like that who's seen you from the worst to now. So awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys. This will be so this is on YouTube, on Facebook, and I'm gonna put it on the streaming. Um, I can't think right now. Anchor, Spotify, all the things. So if you missed it, if you want to share it with somebody, tell them to go anywhere they stream podcasts. So we will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye.